Do you remember that feeling that you had the day before you started a new job? You think about, everyone you've interviewed, at least, a few people, or depending on what industry you're in, maybe, like 13 people or 20 people after the interview process. And you think to yourself, well, like, what's the first day going to be like? How am I going to feel? Like, what's it going to be like, full stop? Will I fit in? Will it be easy? Etc., etc. And what I've realized is the first day is actually a really, really important one. And when I think about the concept of trying to build an inclusive environment, and people talk a lot about belonging as well, right? So you need to make somebody feel like they belong. You have to open the door for that conversation. You have to make sure that when they start, they feel like, hey, this place is for me. I made the right decision. And I think about sometimes how we approach that, which is, you send out the standard welcome email to about 1 million people, and you say, hey, Leanne's starting today, please welcome her. And then, that I might receive loads of emails, welcome, welcome, welcome. But there has to be a lot more than that. When someone starts there has to be more to it. When someone starts a company, that's a big deal. And it's actually from the point where they walk into the building, that they come into the office, that you have to start immediately creating an environment where they feel like they belong. I've spoken about this before, especially within the context of being a Black woman. You enter every situation hyper aware, especially within the corporate world, that you may be the only one. You may be one of very few. We know about people picking people who they feel similar to, as opposed to feeling very different to. And all those things go through your head, like, I wonder how they're going to react, especially if you've not met them before. And this is really like a key part to any culture. Don't overlook the importance of the first day. Go above and beyond. Create a community, create a cohort. I still remember at one company where I was, they had, a class of new beginners. And even speaking to different people at different points in their careers, there was always a reference made to such and such was in my class, such and such, we did it together. Creating a cohort, creating a community from the get-go provides some sort of belonging. It provides that level. And it's also not just creating that cohort of people who are starting at the same time, it's also requiring managers to go above and beyond to create that safety net, to provide introductions, not just, which is what I've had too, yes, these are all the people you'll be working with. Feel free to set up coffees with them. I'm not shy, but still, part of the cultural responsibility of any manager is to take the lead in that, and not just shooting out emails, creating connections. Bring the person over. Hi, this is Leanne, this is John, this is Tim, this is Rachel. She's starting on her team. Would you be able to find time in your calendar next week to make a coffee? I'd love to be there, but if I can't, feel free. Make it easy for somebody to feel like they belong. Because once somebody belongs, it creates a synergy. It creates, I was reading recently a book about, successful groups and how they work. And once again, it's not people working together that most of the time leads to the most successful groups. It's those companies that are said to have that familial feeling. You accept the imperfections of each other, which is fine, but you also work together for a higher purpose. You stretch out your hand and you say, you know, we're in this together. And these should be key parts of any onboarding process. It's not for the new person to always have to put themselves out there. We speak a lot of putting yourself out there, but why? If you're inviting me into your culture, surely you should also take the lead in helping me navigate, understand, and be successful in order to make sure that I belong. In order to make sure that person knows how everything works. It shouldn't always be blind navigation. And, you know, I agree absolutely that you take the responsibility to build your own network as you progress, but that's not what's needed on the first day. On the first day, it's providing confirmation that your new hire has made the right choice. That this was the right choice. That not only do they belong, but there's possibilities to grow. And that's why the first day is special. And that's why the first day is absolutely indicative of how, or it gives companies a litmus test. Ask people, what did you think of the onboarding process? Do you feel like we have an onboarding process? Are you aware of, ask those questions, because you might believe you have an onboarding process. Even ask the managers, do you think we have an onboarding process? They might say we have an informal one, but there might be a formal one. But this is where leadership steps up and steps out and clearly needs to communicate to not just human resources, but to anybody who has people responsibility, what the protocol is. Like, how do you do this? What is the expectation? What's our goal? Our goal is to make sure that every person who walks through this door feels a part of our business, feels welcomed. How do we do that? Well, we do it by making sure all the managers do personal introductions. We do that by making sure the managers accompany them. They can obviously organize second coffees, but we make sure that they don't feel alone. Not just that we put them in a boat and they're there, rowing by themselves. These are the kinds of conversations that need to happen. Inclusion starts right from that moment. But in fact, it starts before then. But, the onboarding part is critical to your culture. It dictates how people feel. If the first day is bad, even if things get better afterwards, when things start to go bad, people go, yeah, but you know something? I knew that wasn't going to be great here anyway, because my first day showed me that. But at the time, I just ignored it. I put it down to nerves. Get to the bottom of your onboarding culture. If you don't have one, now it's time to create one, because it's also the perfect moment, not just from a belonging perspective, but it's the perfect moment to also reinforce your culture by sharing your values, which should have also been shared through the interview process, which should also be shared on the website. But it's another point to reinforce it, to make sure that the new person, new hire, understands the values. But they can also spar with their boss to say, this is what we understand, this is how we work, right? And the right might mean the manager has to go away and have a look and go, oh, is this our values? Oh, well, you would know because you've just come through the process. They might not say it out loud, but it's a wonderful opportunity to create so much momentum, so much impetus to start to change future generations of your company. So think about it. Bye-bye.